सीताराम सर कौन कहउचंदी की? Okay, so I think now we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so let us wait for one more student. Okay. Okay, so where did we leave? आमे कोठी सारी थिले? हेलो
सर यूनिट 13 आज पढ़िबार थिला।
यूनिट 13
सर
ओके जस्ट ए मिनिट just a second so unit what is there in unit 13? Hello, so what is there in unit 13? Is it political parties and political participation?
Yes, sir.
Sir, political parties and political participants. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, good. So, how many of you have read it, political parties and participation? Achha, the other thing is that how many units I have to teach you total? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
12. No, not 12. Somebody told me in the group that I have 27 units to cover.
27 units, sir.
Yeah, that means book 1 and book 2.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir. Book 1, 18 units.
Yeah,
and book.
And how many classes totally they have allotted? I thought it is only 12. Or sorry, 18. I had this impression that I have to take 18 units. That's why I was anyway, I am just calculating. Total number of classes is 6. And I have already taken 3 classes, right? I have taken 3 classes. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that means out in another 3 classes, I have to finish 27 means 13. So roughly daily 4 units, correct? Hello? Hello? Hello?
I guess, sir.
Yeah. So roughly 4 to 5 units daily I have to cover. Okay?
Okay.
So, yeah, so that then only we can finish 27 units. Okay, so no issues. We will try to quickly, ensure that we have anyway. See, how do you look at political parties and political participation? Political parties and political participation माने कौन? Just a minute. सब कौन दो? Hello. So, what do you mean by political parties, and what exactly is the real definition of political parties? किए कही परिवे? अरे political parties एवं pressure group भितर differences कौन? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Political parties and pressure group भितर differences कौन?
Sir, political party है कि जोटा गोटे politics थी वो I don't know.
Yes. No. It's not. Politics थी वो माने कौन? See, try to understand politics माने political. I mean, the way we try to understand the very idea of politics and political parties. Political parties का प्रमुख main objective होची how to control power. Okay, state power को सेमाने केमिति control करिवे. Whereas this pressure group मानकर काम होची without controlling power, they will try to ensure that they will ensure that we meet our objectives. माने दी जन जाक गोटे कॉमन ऑब्जेक्टिव नहीं काम करती, किंतु प्रेशर ग्रुप मानकर काम होची जे विदाउट पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज सपोर्ट they actually do it. Okay, whereas political parties माने से माने पावर को कैप्चर करिया पे चेष्टा करती, whereas as far as the pressure groups are concerned, they actually try to not capture power but to meet their own objectives. Okay, so to meet their own objectives. Okay, so that is what that is what we have been trying to understand it. Okay, so so this is how we look at the things. Okay, this is how we look at the things. Okay, so as far as the political parties and political participation is concerned, what can be actually read out, or what could possibly be understood? Okay, how we how we look at the idea of participation. For example, if I briefly analyze the forms of political participation, for example, voting in local and national elections, voting in referendums, canvassing or otherwise campaigning in elections, active membership of a political party, active membership of a pressure group, taking part then active part in political discussion. So these are some of the things that we see. Hello.
I guess sir.
Hello. Yeah. So various forms of civil disobedience, such as refusing to pay taxes or obey a conscription order, membership of government advisory bodies. Okay. Then membership of consumers councils for publicly owned industries, client involvement in the implementation of social policies, various forms of community action, such as those concerned with housing or environmental issues in the locality. So these are some of the things that we have to understand. Okay, so this is how we call it as we are trying to ensure that these things actually they come up. Okay, so then next is political participation, democracy, political party. So in a democracy, how political participation is important, how political participation ensures that we achieve democracy to the most important levels. So these are some of the important things that we have to understand. And as far as Indian political system is concerned, political parties actually they have played a very very vital role in our democratic system. Okay, and if you look at the voter turnout in India, it has actually gradually increased from time to time. Okay, so from time to time the voter turnout it has really increased, and we have to ensure that so that's why political participation is very very important. Then we discuss about social nature of the party led political participation. Social nature of the party led political participation, what it means. That means that or let's say non party political process, that for example people like Yogendra Yadav and other people who argue that let us focus on non party political participation. Okay, so that is why it is very very important. Okay, so so I think so this is why it is very very important. Okay, then we have I would say then political participation in Indian democracy. So political participation bina Indian democracy will not survive. So it will not survive without political participation. Okay, so I think one needs to understand what political participation means and how it is important for a democratic political system. So without political participation, without what I can say democratic experiment, one cannot actually think about political participation. That's why it is very very important. Okay, so actually for your examination point of view, you can just टिके गड़े देथिबा दरकार, बट मो हिसाब रे तम एग्जामिनेशन पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू दिस मे नॉट बी एते जो लॉन्ग क्वेश्चन एते इंपोर्टेंट रहिबनी. एक्चुअली तुमको मु आउ थरे रिपीट करूची, आमे ए पर्यंत जो 13टा यूनिट पढीचे, तमरो 2 नंबर यूनिट आई रिपीट 4 नंबर यूनिट 5 नंबर यूनिट 6 नंबर यूनिट, these things are very very important. And also unit number 11, unit 12, these are important. Unit 13 you can just read it. Okay, now let's try to go through what is there in peasants movement, which is there unit 14. Okay, particularly as far as India is concerned, the peasants movements in India, it is roughly जे पीजेंट्स मूवमेंट आम इंडिया रे एक्चुअली ब्रॉडली दी भाग रे विभक्त होईची. गोटे होची ब्रिटिश पीरियड, आ गोटे होची पोस्ट ब्रिटिश पीरियड और पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस पीरियड. ओके, पोस्ट ब्रिटिश पीरियड रो जो डिवीजन हेइतला बा पोस्ट ब्रिटिश पीरियड रे जो पीजेंट्स मूवमेंट हेइतला, दैट वाज ए हिस्टोरिक मूवमेंट, कहना बहुत आंदोलन हेइची. ओके, सो दिस थिंग्स they we have tried to be very very केते आंदोलन ता पई हिची. ओके, किंतु नॉन ब्रिटिश पीरियड रे बा जो ब्रिटिश पीरियड रे आमर फॉर एग्जांपल जेमती हेइतला गांधी आरंभ करथिले बरदोली सत्याग्रह एवं बरदोली सत्याग्रह एवं एठी चंपारण सत्याग्रह. चंपारणटा गांधी करथिले, बरदोलीटा सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल करथिले. ओके, सो दीज मूवमेंट्स दे वर देयर. ओके, सो आई थिंक so both the Congress, the communists and the peasants movements in colonial India. So the peasants had been the worst sufferers of the British Raj in colonial India. Even the Congress decided to mobilize the peasants, and the latter had already developed their organizations and were in fast fact protesting against the local zamidars, who to them were the main enemies. Thus, there has been much peasant unrest and occasional uprisings in the pre-nationalist era. See, the two most important uprisings in the pre-nationalist period were the movement of the indigo planters of 1860 and the Mopla uprising of 1921 in Malabar. Okay, so Congress particularly, and if you look at the Tebaga movement, the Telangana peasant uprising. So these two are most important post-independent peasants movement in India, the Tebaga movement and the peasant uprising in Telangana. Okay, so these things are very important, and they capture our imagination. Okay, so similarly, post-colonial India re Naxalbari peasant uprising bhi heichi. Okay, so actually mate jodi tame pacharibo, if you ask me independently, and what is important is that how we look at the issue of how we look at the issue of what I can say, what I can say is what I can say is how we look at the issue of peasants movement in India and its character. For example, India रे दी प्रकार peasants movement हेतला. गोटे होची जे जो माने big landlords बा जो माने बड़ा बड़ा चासी, आ गोटे होची landless farmers बा भाग चासी. ओके, गोटे होची landless farmers, आ गोटे होचंदी भाग चासी. Okay, so these two things are very important. Okay, so so when we try to understand the very idea and existence of these things, so so এই जो प्रकार दी प्रकार मेन स्ट्रीम मूवमेंट एठी हेइथिला. ओके, so when we try to understand the very idea of what I can say this kind of movements and this kind of particular understandings, okay, so how do we look at these issues? Okay, how do we look at these issues? Okay, so so this is very important. Okay, so tenukari ama India re jo peasants movement ame dekhuche, so it has its many important dimensions. Okay, तेणु इंडिया रे जो पीजेंट्स मूवमेंट अच्छी रिच फार्मर मानकर गोटे मूवमेंट अच्छी एवं गोटे पुअर लैंडलेस मार्जिनलाइज फार्मर्स मानकर गोटे मूवमेंट अच्छी. ओके, सो दीटा एक मूवमेंट को तमे प्रथमे देखिया पड़िबो एवं याद रे एटा तम परीक्षा पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू दिस माइट बी वन इंपोर्टेंट यूनिट पीजेंट्स मूवमेंट. एवं मन रखिताओ एटी दी प्रकार मूवमेंट अच्छी. गोटे होची रिच पीजेंट्स, आ गोटे होचनी लैंडलेस पीजेंट्स मानकर जेमती तेभागा मूवमेंट, आ गोटे होची आई मीन व्हाट आई कैन से अबाउट दी तेलंगाना मूवमेंट हला. तो ये माने समस्त होचनी तेभागा, ये माने समस्तंकर अच्छी 100% they were against the British, against the landlords, so these kind of things. So एटा तम यूनिट तमर एग्जामिनेशन पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू दिस माइट बी very important. Okay, तापरे तमे देखिबो किंतु तापर जोटा अच्छी जो मीडिया एंड पब्लिक पॉलिसी मते कहीं लगुनि एटा एते इम्पोर्टेंट बोली बट फिर भी तमे जस्ट खाली गोटे ये करिवो तबे याधरे गोटे मुख्य क्वेश्चन होची गोटे सेकंड ठीक है हाँ नीलाद्री हाँ कौन कहला माने तो एथिरे तुम देखियो गोटे जिनस अच्छी जे रोल ऑफ 15.3 इफ यू लुक एट 15.3 which is very important media and democracy its role and effect okay media and democracies so particularly तुम देखियो जे if you look at the media and democracy माने हमर ओडिया रे कुहा जायनी जे गणतंत्र रो चतुर्थ स्तंभ होची गणमाध्यम ओके तेणु गणतंत्र गोटे चतुर्थ स्तंभ जिते हूँ गणमाध्यम से I mean how we look at the whole issue of democracy how we understand the whole idea of democracy so these are very important questions for all of us okay एगुड़ा कहूची आम पई बहुत important and crucial questions okay these are very important and crucial questions so जेतेबेले आमे मीडिया और डेमोक्रेसी विषय रे आलोचना करूचे when we are trying to do it so probably you know so the media you know so the common citizens they have a great deal of exposure to the media in the realms of you know entertainer and culture yet most of the people they do not understand how the media politics and public policy interact with each other and thereby affect their lives so what they need to know these things in order to become more thoughtful consumers of media messages related to politics so how can we challenge them to explore the changing relationships between the media and democracy so these are some of the questions that educators journalists media leaders and citizens must explore together so the modern democracies have witnessed this complex and increasingly critical relationship between media and public policy so in a society where a 24/7 news cycle bombards a fractured public where informant and argument culture often overshadow traditional journalism it has become more difficult to focus public debate and build political consensus necessary to shape lead or change public policy polls focus groups talking points sound between debates massive spending by special interests and corporate ratings okay and circulation pressures can distort and overshadow important issues so it has become imperative on students of media and public policy to know how these forces they consolidate in our modern India okay so this is very important okay so ସେଥିପାଇଁ କୁହା ଯାଏ ଯେ so ଆମେ ଏଇ ଯୋଉ important ଅଛି ଯେ role of media in democracy ତେଣୁ ତମକୁ media କହିଲେ ପ୍ରଥମେ କ'ଣ ବୁଝେଇବାକୁ ପଡ଼ିବ you have to explain what media stands for so print media electronic media social media I think these things they can be combined into one package तो तार डेमोक्रेसी रे कौन रोल रही फॉर एग्जांपल दे क्रिएट अवेयरनेस फॉर एग्जांपल दे क्रिटिसाइज द गवर्नमेंट फॉर एग्जांपल दे you know create sensitize the public ओके विभिन्न धर जो कोरोना आसिला लोक किए बेसी सेंसिटाइज कला गणमाध्यम कला वेदर इट इज इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मीडिया और प्रिंट मीडिया सो डेफिनेटली इन ए डेमोक्रेसी and in a modern complex society role of media is very very extensive because without their role one cannot okay one cannot what I can say what I can say one cannot underestimate okay our arguments okay one cannot underestimate our arguments okay so ସେଥିପାଇଁ ଆମର ମିଡ଼ିଆର ରୋଲଟା ବହୁତ ବହୁତ ଇମ୍ପୋର୍ଟାଣ୍ଟ ଦେ ଆର୍ ଭେରି ଭେରି ଇମ୍ପୋର୍ଟାଣ୍ଟ ପର୍ଟିକୁଲାରଲି ଇନ୍ ଏ ଡେମୋକ୍ରେସି ଓକେ ଆରେ ପିଲାମାନେ ବୁଝିପାରୁଛ ତ ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍
ହଁ ବୁଝିପାରୁଛ ତ
ଆଜ୍ଞା
ହଁ ତାପରେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ ପବ୍ଲିକ ପଲିସି କଥା କହୁଛେ ହାଉ वी अंडरस्टैंड द आइडिया ऑफ पब्लिक पॉलिसी I mean how we look at I mean public policy so these things are very very important okay ତେଣୁ I mean ଆମେ I mean how we look at it and ଆମେ କେମିତି କରିବା ସେଟା ଯେତେବେଳେ जे पब्लिक पॉलिसी କରାଯିବ ବା how we look at it so these things are very very they I mean they keep bothering us okay they keep bothering us okay ତେଣୁ ସେଇଟା ହେଉଛି ଆମ ପାଇଁ ବଡ଼ ଇମ୍ପୋର୍ଟାଣ୍ଟ ତେଣୁ ପବ୍ଲିକ ପଲିସିରେ ମିଡ଼ିଆ ଯଦି ନଥିବ ତାହେଲେ ଫିଡ଼ବ୍ୟାକ୍ କିଏ ଦେବ ହୁ ୱିଲ୍ ଗିଭ୍ ଅସ୍ ଦି ଫିଡ଼ବ୍ୟାକ୍ ଓକେ ବୁଝିପାରୁଛ ତ ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
ହଁ ସାର୍ ବୁଝୁଛି
ହଁ ଓକେ ତାପରେ the next thing that we can just which is very appearing to be very important is religion sorry identity politics in India okay now you please tell me who knows what identity politics means in India କିଏ କହିପାରିବ identity politics ମାନେ କ'ଣ
ସାର୍ यूनिट 16 ପଢା ହବନି କି
यूनिट 16 କ'ଣ ଅଛି କି ତା ଦେହରେ ଏଇଟା ପୁରା यूनिट 16 ओहो मु छाड़ीगली यूनिट 16 ओके ठीक अच्छे आम आगे आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स पर 16 टा करवा है हाँ जे यूनिट 16 ए जो आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स माने कौन तुम आइडेंटिटी माने कौन बुझुच कहले आग व्हाट डू मीन बाय आइडेंटिटी एंड आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स हेलो
यस सर
आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स राजनीतिक भारत राजनीतिक परिचय
भारतर राजनैतिक परिचय नाई 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 आउ किए कौन कहब आउ किए कौन कहब व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स
से पॉपुलर लोक मानक पॉलिटिकल पार्टी रे जॉइन करेबा
नो 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 ओके व्हाट एल्स what else hello what else
sir
किए कहि परिबो हेलो
सर पर्टिकुलर रिलीजन बा रेस को माने तांको ही लीडर करेबा बा तांको आइडेंटिफाई करबा
that's not the way. See, बुझिया चेष्टा करो actually identity politics माने होची basically I mean what I can say what I can say is let's say I mean how we look at I mean all these developments. Okay, so I mean how we understand all these things and how we look at these identity माने होची जे for example my caste, my
So it's
religion.
certification. Identity
Sorry,
means it's a certification.
नहीं
Certification
नहीं नहीं
towards a
certification
particular.
नहीं no 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 माने मो कहया कथा होची identity means तमे गुटे माने परिचय को नहीं कि when we try to mobilize ourselves, for example Brahmins, for example Rajputs, for example Khandayats, तो एगुड़ा को सब जो आइडेंटिटीज तो आइडेंटिटी कहीं को कि ना आकु नहीं कि we try to mobilize ourselves and try to what do something which is very very important. Okay, बुझी पड़छ तो पिला माने अरे आर यू गेटिंग माय
Sir.
पॉइंट
yes sir.
ना बुझी पारुन
हाँ सर बुझिपारछु
हाँ ओके सो तेणु यहाँ है आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स ओके सो व्हेन वी से सो आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स इज वेरी वेरी क्रुशियल ओके तेणु ये जो आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स आई मीन हाउ डू वी लुक एट दिस आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स आम कौन क्या कहूचे आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स बोली हेलो आमे आइडेंटिटी आम इंडिया रे आई मीन आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स माने सो देयर आर thousands of ways to look at or to understand I mean how we look at the whole idea of identity politics. Okay, so tenukari so when we say that identity politics or I mean how we look at the whole issue of identities तो आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स डेमोक्रेसी रे बहुत इंपोर्टेंट तार कारण होची जे हाउ डू वी लुक एट आइडेंटिटीज हाउ डू वी लुक एट आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स ओके आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स इन इंडिया पर्टिकुलरली कास्ट रिलीजन लैंग्वेज एथनिसिटी सो दीज थिंग्स आर वेरी वेरी इंपोर्टेंट माने केमिति ताकू नै कि लोक माने पॉलिटिसाइज करछथि जेमति फॉर एग्जांपल तमे यूपी रे देखो कि बिहार रे देखो कि अन्य नॉर्दर्न स्टेट्स माने कर देखो जोटी कास्ट बेस्ड पॉलिटिकल मोबिलाइजेशन होची फॉर एग्जांपल दलित माने गोटे पर्टिकुलर पार्टी की वोट दोचंती ओबीसी माने गोटे पर्टिकुलर पार्टी की वोट दोचंती दोचंती ना नहीं अरे दोचंती ना नहीं
yes sir.
सर
हाँ तो सेई गुडा कहूची बहुत इंपोर्टेंट ओके तेणु आमे भाबुचे कोन जे नो नो व्हाई दिस इज इंपोर्टेंट बट दिस इज डेफिनेटली इंपोर्टेंट ओके तेणु
सर एटा
हेलो
तो सर एटा तो इम्पोर्टेंट नुहे एटा बर गोटे डिमेरिट्स भलिया हैला इम्पोर्टेंट किन थिला
अरे तमे काहे की भाबुछ डिमेरिट बोली
सर काहे कि ना से माने निज कास्ट लोकन को वोट देबे ना से माने जे एजुकेटेड हिथिबे तांको इग्नोर करबे सेति पई तो सेही सेंस रे कहूछ
अच्छा गोटे कथा कुह जे धरा जो लेट्स से मु होची गोटे गोटे एक्स कास्ट को बिलोंग करूची मु जते बेले जानिबी जे गोटे लोक को मु को लोक को वोट देबी ମୋ ପାଇଁ ଯିଏ କାମ କରିବ ନା ସମସ୍ତ ପାଇଁ ଭଲ କାମ କରିବ, ମୁଁ କାହାକୁ ଭୋଟ ଦେବି? ମତେ ଗୋଟେ କଥା କୁହ।
ସାର୍
ଚିନ୍ତା
ଆପଣ
କର,
ଯଦି
ତମେ କାହାକୁ ଭୋଟ ଦବ
ୟୁନିଭର୍ସାଲି
କହିଲ?
ଭାବିବେ, ୟୁନିଭର୍ସାଲି ଆପଣ
ତମେ
ଯଦି
ତମେ କଲେଜରେ ପଢିଛ?
ଆଜ୍ଞା
ଶୁଣ, ଆମର ମଣିଷର ମାନସିକତା ହଉଛି, ହ୍ୟୁମାନ ଟେଣ୍ଡେନ୍ସି ହଉଛି ଯେ वी ऑलवेज ट्राए टू ରେସ୍ପେକ୍ଟ आवर पर्सनाल रिलेशनशिप। ସେମାନେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଜାଣନ୍ତି ଯେ ଆମ କମ୍ୟୁନିଟିର ଲୋକ ଠିଆ ହେଇଛି ତ ନ୍ୟାଚୁରାଲି ସେମାନେ ତାକୁ ଭୋଟ ଦିଅନ୍ତି। ଏବଂ ଗୁଡ଼ାଏ ଆର୍ଗୁମେଣ୍ଟସ୍ ହେଉଛି ଯେ ଏଇଟା ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲି ଗଣତନ୍ତ୍ର ପାଇଁ ବହୁତ ଭଲ। ତାର କାରଣ ହେଉଛି ୟା ଦ୍ୱାରା ଗଣତନ୍ତ୍ରରେ ଯେଉଁମାନେ ଡାଉନ୍ ଟ୍ରୋଡନ୍ ଥିଲେ ସେମାନେ ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲି ଦେ ହ୍ୟାଭ୍ ଏମର୍ଜଡ୍। ଓକେ,
ସାର୍ କେମିତି
ଦେ ହ୍ୟାଭ୍ ଏମର୍ଜଡ୍। ଆଁ
କେମିତି ସେମାନେ ମର୍ଜ ହେଲେ?
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
ସାର୍ ସେମିତି କି ସେ କେମିତି ଇମର୍ଜ ହେଲେ?
ଏଇଟା ତ ପାଞ୍ଚ ହେଇଯିବ ନା।
ନାଇଁ ଆଗରୁ ଡେମୋକ୍ରାସିର ମାନେ କଣ କହିଲ? What do you mean by democracy? ଡେମୋକ୍ରାସିର ମାନେ ହେଉଛି ଯେ ଗଣତନ୍ତ୍ରରେ ତମେ ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ ସମାନ ସୁଯୋଗ ଦଉଛ ତମର ଡିସିସନ ମେକିଂ ପ୍ରୋସେସରେ ଭାଗ ନେବା ପାଇଁ। ବଟ୍ ଆଗରୁ କଣ ହଉଥିଲା ନା ଯେଉଁମାନେ ଅଣ୍ଡର ପ୍ରିଭିଲେଜ୍ କାଷ୍ଟ ଥିଲେ ସେମାନେ ଆସିପାରୁନଥିଲେ, ସେମାନେ ଭାଗ ନେଇ ପାରୁନଥିଲେ। କିନ୍ତୁ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆଇଡେଣ୍ଟିଟି ପଲିଟିକ୍ସଟା ଏମର୍ଜ କଲା, ସେମାନେ ବି ଧୀରେ ଧୀରେ ମାନେ ପାୱାରଟାକୁ ଆସର୍ଟ କରିବା ଶିଖିଲେ। ସେମାନେ ବି ଡିସିସନ ମେକିଂ ପ୍ରୋସେସରେ ହିସ୍ସେଦାର ହେଲେ। ସୋ ଦିସ୍ ଇଜ୍ ହାଉ ଦ ଡେମୋକ୍ରାଟିକ୍ ସିଷ୍ଟମ ଇଜ୍ ବେନିଫିଟେଡ୍। ତାର କାରଣ ହେଉଛି ସମସ୍ତେ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଏଠି ପାୱାରଟା ରୋଟେଟ୍ ହେଉଛି। ଆଜି ମୁଁ ଅଛି, କାଲି ଆଉ ଜଣେ ହବ। ଆଗରୁ କଣ ହଉଥିଲା ନା କେବଳ ଅପର କାଷ୍ଟ ଲୋକମାନେ ହିଁ କେବଳ ଡେମୋକ୍ରାସି ଭିତରେ ଆସିପାରୁଥିଲେ, ପାୱାର ଷ୍ଟ୍ରକ୍ଚର ଭିତରେ। ବୁଝିପାରୁଛ ତ? ହ୍ୟାଲୋ, ଆରେ କିଛି ଶୁଣା ଯାଉନି ମୋ କଥା।
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍ ବୁଝି ହଉଛି।
ହଁ, ବୁଝିପାରିଲ ତ?
ଆଜ୍ଞା।
ହଁ, ତେଣୁ ୟା ଦେହରେ କିଛି ବ୍ୟସ୍ତ ହବାର ନାହିଁ। ତମେ ଇଏ କରନି, ତମେ ଯାହା ତମର ଅଛି what is there in your you may agree or you may not agree, okay, but your job is just to write, okay, so don't worry about that, ହେଲା।
ओके सर।
ତେଣୁ ବାକି ରହିଲା କଥା ଯେ I mean how we look at the whole idea of these developments, okay, ଆମେ କେମିତି ଏଟାକୁ କରୁଛେ ଏବଂ କଣ ଆଦରେ କରାଯାଇ ପାରିବ, okay, so these things they were
ସାର୍ କିଛି ଶୁଭା ଯାଉନି।
we were discussing, okay। ତେଣୁ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ କଥା ହେଉଛି ଯେ ୟା ପରେ we will discuss about unit। so ଏଇଟା ଟିକେ ତମମାନେ ଦୟାକରି ଟିକେ ଭଲ କରି ପଢିବ, ଯଦିଓ ଛୋଟ ୟୁନିଟ୍ ତ ଏଇଟା ଟିକେ ଭଲ ଭାବରେ ପଢିବ, ଓକେ। ତାପରେ ହେଉଛି ଯେ यूनिट 16। अच्छा हाँ, इंटरेस्ट ग्रुप्स एंड पॉलिसी मेकिंग। अच्छा ମୁଁ ତମକୁ ଅଲରେଡି ସେ ପଲିଟିକାଲ ପାର୍ଟିଜ ଯେତେବେଳେ କହି ସାରିଲିଣି ଯେ ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ସ କ'ଣ, ହ୍ୱାଟ ଡୁ ୟୁ ମିନ୍ ବାଇ ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ସ? କିଏ କହିପାରିବ ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ସ କ'ଣ ବା ପ୍ରେସର ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ସ କ'ଣ? ଆଉ ଥରେ ରିପିଟ୍ କରୁଛି, ପଚାରୁଛି, କୁହ ଟିକେ।
ନିଜ ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ ପାଇଁ ଯୋଉ
କିଏ
ଗ୍ରୁପଟାକୁ
କହିପାରିବ ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ ଗ୍ରୁପଟା କ'ଣ?
ସାର୍ ନିଜ ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ ପାଇଁ ଯୋଉ ଗ୍ରୁପକୁ ସିଲେକ୍ଟ କରିଥାନ୍ତି ବା ନିଜ ଲିଡରକୁ ସିଲେକ୍ଟ କରିଥାନ୍ତି, ସେଇଟା କହୁଛେ ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ ଗ୍ରୁପ।
କିଏ କହିପାରିବ?
ସାର୍
ଆରେ
ନିଜ
ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ ଗ୍ରୁପ
ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ
କିଏ
ପାଇଁ ଯୋଉ
କହିପାରିବ?
ଗ୍ରୁପକୁ ସିଲେକ୍ଟ କରିଥାନ୍ତି।
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ, ଆରେ ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ ଗ୍ରୁପରେ କିଏ କହିପାରିବ?
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ ସାର୍,
ଆରେ
ଶୁଭୁଛି ତ ମୋ
ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ
କଥା?
ଗ୍ରୁପ କିଏ କହିପାରିବ? ହ୍ୟାଲୋ,
ସାଉଣ୍ଡ ଶୁଭୁନି।
ଆରେ ପିଲାମାନେ ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ ଗ୍ରୁପ ବିଷୟରେ କିଏ
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
କହିପାରିବ?
ସାର୍ ନାଇଁ କହିପାରିବିନି
अरे
ଆପଣ।
भाई कई रेस्पॉन्डिंग କରୁନାହାନ୍ତି। अरे आर यू लिसनिंग टू मी और नॉट?
हेलो सर।
हेलो
यस सर,
स्टूडेंट्स,
वी आर लिसनिंग।
Are students, are you listening to me or not? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Students, are you listening me or not? Hello? It's very difficult actually. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hello? I am asking you a question. Interest politics कौन by interest group politics कौन?
Hello, sir.
Hello? अरे इंटरेस्ट ग्रुप पॉलिटिक्स टा कौन किए कहि परिबो भाई अबे के कहि परिबेनी okay see all of you are not okay I think I don't know whether you are in the a mobile पाखरे ऑप्शन नाही सेटा ही बर्तमान मोर डाउट हेलानी okay anyway don't worry तो डेमोक्रेसी एवं इंटरेस्ट ग्रुप रे there are certain things that you have to keep it in mind that political processes cannot be reduced to the preferences or behavior of individuals but are conditioned by group actions and interactions. Okay, these groups, their solidarities and their conflicts make independent contributors to determining political outcomes. Okay, and then representation is the key, but relationship between such groups and the making of एबे सुबह जाउनी हेलो
आज्ञा सर सुबुची
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍ ଏବେ ଶୁଭୁଛି 2 ମିନିଟ୍ ହେଲା ଶୁଭୁ ନଥିଲା।
ଓ କିଛି ବି ଶୁଭୁ ନଥିଲା
ନାଇଁ ସାର୍ ଟୋଟାଲ ଶୁଭୁ
ଆପଣଙ୍କ
ନଥିଲା କିଛି ବି
ଭଏସ
ସାଉଣ୍ଡ
ଶୁଭୁଥିଲା
ନଥିଲା।
ସେଟା ଆମ ଭଏସ ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ଶୁଭୁନଥିଲା।
ସାର୍ ମତେ ଟୋଟାଲି ଶୁଭୁ ନଥିଲା ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଭଏସ।
ଆଚ୍ଛା ଆଚ୍ଛା ହଉ 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 ମୁଁ ଆଉ ଥରେ ମୁଁ ପଚାରୁଛି ଯେ ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ ଗ୍ରୁପ ବିଷୟରେ କ'ଣ କିଛି ଅଛି ଆଇଡ଼ିଆ ଅଛି ଆମେ ଅଲରେଡ଼ି ମୁଁ ଯୋଉଟା ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ ଗ୍ରୁପ ବିଷୟରେ କହୁଛି ସୋ ଫର୍ ଏକ୍ଜାମ୍ପଲ୍ ତେଣୁ ସୋ ଦିଜ୍ ରିପ୍ରେଜେଣ୍ଟେଟିଭ୍ ଅର୍ଗାନାଇଜେସନ୍ସ ହାଭ୍ ଏ relative autonomy and an operative logic of their own that cannot be reduced either to the preferences of individuals or to the solidarities of the groups that compose them. Okay, so I mean these things are also important hela tapore for example when we say that see, however, the formal institutions of government, their procedures and substantive policies, it can have a significant and enduring effect upon groups and organizations that represent them. So, in other words, public policy is not mere epiphenomena produced by previously formed group interests, even less by independently established individual preferences. Okay, so these things are very very important when we try to understand the what I can say interest groups and democracy. Okay, so there are certain theories of interest groups. For example, actually interest group theory, it actually exposes the fact which was formalized by George Stigler that the policymakers should be more supportive to interest groups which have a more unified and organized group of interest seekers. Okay, so I mean so the policymaker would actually calculate the cost of collective action in organizing and lobbying for a piece of regulation by interest groups and the ones which with diffuse interests and high organizing cost would actually stand to lose to the groups. Okay, so what I mean to say is that in a democracy, interest groups are very very important and they actually what I can say, they are very important. Okay, they are very important, and how they look at the very idea of what I can say, the idea of democracy, and the logic of democracy, particularly interest group jodi nathibo tale democratic participation ta kebe bi hei paribo nahi. Okay, so it is absolutely impossible for a democracy, how a democracy function. Okay, so it is very important. Okay, so तेणु इंटरेस्ट ग्रुप जो थियोरी अच्छी तो से भी से कहते जे जे पर्यंत जे पर्यंत डेमोक्रेसी रे इंटरेस्ट ग्रुप टा डेमोक्रेटाइज न होईची, as long as, so then it is very difficult to make the society democratic. Okay, ସେଥିପାଇଁ that's why it is very important. Okay, ତେଣୁ ଆମର ଯାହା ବି କିଛି ଅଛି, so we need to look at the whole idea of what I can say, the issue of what I can say, the issue of democratizing the nation. Okay, democratizing the nation, or the democratizing the polity. So all these things are actually very important. Okay, so that's why it is very important. Okay, hello.
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍ ଶୁଭୁଛି।
हाँ, so ତେଣୁକରି so that's why ତେଣୁ ଏଇଟା ହେଉଛି ଗୋଟେ ବଡ଼ ଇମ୍ପୋର୍ଟାଣ୍ଟ କଥା ହେଲା। So that's why we try to understand that how we look at it and how we understand it. Okay, so these are very important, particularly political parties ru semane kemiti different particular political parties mane actually kono semane power ku kemiti capture kariya pe, they are essentially power hungry, whereas interest groups or pressure groups, they are not power hungry, rather they actually they try to influence the public policy for its own personal and partisan interest, without being part of the government. So it is also, that is why it is very important to understand the role of interest groups in the functioning of democracy and the interest group theory of government. Okay, so that's why it is very important. So how do we look at it? The interest groups and the other things, they are quite important, and they actually tell us that that's why it's become important, and particularly that's why we say that we need to understand those things. Okay, so ସେଥିପାଇଁ କୁହାଯାଏ ଯେ we have to be, as far as the interest groups are concerned, so these things are very important. Okay, so ଆମେ କହିବା କଥା, ତେଣୁ ସେଥିପାଇଁ, so it is very important. Okay, so and we need to focus on these things. Okay, we need to focus on these things. Okay, so I think these things so we need to focus on this particular aspect of interest groups. Okay, the next thing is about so today I'll be focusing on the civil societies and social movements. Okay, this thing last thing I will today discuss. What do you mean by civil societies, friends? Civil society माने कौन? अरे civil society माने कौन? See, for example, the contemporary hype about civil society has been caused by the breakup of the socialist regimes in Russia and Eastern Europe and the revival of, Tocquevillian tradition of celebrating the associational pluralism in the US. So it has been surmised that the Soviet type experiments have failed because of the absence of civil society in such states. So civil society has been held as the property of the liberal democratic states, and a flourishing civil society has been considered as the precondition for the existence of democracy. So the concept of civil society has an interesting history. It has always been part of liberal democratic theories. The liberal notion conceives of civil society as a sphere independent of, but to be protected by the state, wherein the rights bearing individuals are free to pursue their private interests in free association with others. So this definition reduces civil society to that of free market or free economy. Okay, so the late liberals like John Stuart Mill and Tocqueville conceived civil society as a domain of social associations which would check the excess of the state. So they were concerned about the growing power of the state and the view that without active social associations, even democracies could become despotic regimes. So the early Marxist conception of civil society as one which plays a facilitating role for the functioning of capitalist economy. So remember, civil society को लेकर there is a lot of debate. Okay, there is a lot of debate, and we have to understand that how these debates they actually perform. I mean how these debates they actually try to be part of it. Okay, so that's why we say that these debates are very very important. Okay, ତେଣୁ ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ କହୁଛେ ଯେ ଏଇ ଯୋଉ debate ବା these ideas, these implications, they actually constitute one of the most in a very defined way. So these things they actually constitute as a foundation of our polity. Okay, foundation of our polity. So that's very very important. Okay, ତେଣୁ ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ କହୁଛେ ଡେମୋକ୍ରାସି ବା ଡେମୋକ୍ରାଟିକ୍ ସିଷ୍ଟମ ଏ ବିଷୟରେ ତେଣୁ ସୋ ଦିସ୍ ଇଜ୍ ହ୍ୱାଇ ଇଟ୍ ଇଜ୍ ଭେରି ଭେରି ଇମ୍ପୋର୍ଟାଣ୍ଟ. ଓକେ, ତାପରେ ହେଉଛି ଯେ ଯେଉଁ ଆମର ଟାଇପ୍ର ଅଛି ସୋସିଆଲ ମୁଭମେଣ୍ଟସ୍, ନ୍ୟୁ ସୋସିଆଲ ମୁଭମେଣ୍ଟସ୍. ଓକେ, ସୋ ପର୍ଟିକୁଲାରଲି ଗାନ୍ଧିଆନ ଏଫର୍ଟସ୍, ସର୍ବୋଦୟ, ସୋ ଏଇ ଯେଉଁ ଟାଇପ୍ର ଯେଉଁ ନ୍ୟୁ ସୋସିଆଲ ମୁଭମେଣ୍ଟସ୍ ରହିଛି ଏବଂ ତାର ରୋଲ୍ in radical democracy, that also you have to understand. Okay, and particularly voluntary action, NGOs. Okay, they also constitute an important domain of civil society organizations. For example, voluntary action actually it has its origins to Protestant Christianity. So conceptually it just means anything we involve out of our own choice without any compulsion. So having a purpose or meaning in the action is important for an action to be voluntary. So the need for voluntary action arises when what I can say individuals feel that the existing socio-political and economic structures of the society are not paying sufficient attention towards some aspects of the society, or it could be that those structures are not in a position to respond to some issues arising in the society. So the motivation to do such action is very often unrelated to one's self-interest. Okay. So however, Rajni Kothari argues that voluntarism is the essence of Indian civilization. Okay. So particularly if you look at Rajni Kothari's argument, if you look at these people's argument, so you will find that it is very, very interesting. Okay. এটা ନିଶ୍ଚିତ ଭାବରେ ଗୋଟେ interesting ହବ. Okay. And we will find it very absolutely interesting and absolutely Rajni Kothari ଙ୍କର जो arguments ଅଛି very solid arguments we have to press. Okay. ତେଣୁ ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ଯେପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ଆମର ଏଇ ଯୋଉ solid arguments ଅଛି solid ideas ଅଛି those things that is very very important. ତେଣୁ ମୋ ହିସାବରେ ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଏଇଟା ପଢୁଛେ so these things they constitute an important aspect of our polity and democratic understanding and that we should respect. Okay. Otherwise it makes no sense. ओके तेणु तुम यहाँ को चिंता कर यहाँ को देख किभली हो पार एवं आम काली पुणी भेटा एवं तुम यूनिट 18 जाइए आम पुणी 19 20 21 22 23 एक्चुअली मोर क्लास 6टा थिला किंतु मु तथापि तुम यूनिट सारिबा पई मु गोटे एक्स्ट्रा क्लास नेबी कारण मु देखुली मु 4टा क्लास नहीं 3टा नहीं नथली 4टा नहीं एबे आज नेली 5टा काली 6टा तुमको टोटल मते 6टा क्लास अलॉट कराई बट फॉर योर बेनिफिट आई विल टेक वन एक्स्ट्रा क्लास सो दैट आई कैन फिनिश द सिलेबस. ओके तेणु काली मोर क्लास अच्छी एवं पहर दिन क्लास अच्छी. इज दैट क्लियर एवरीवन?
ओके सर.
इज दैट क्लियर एवरीवन?
ओके सर.
या थैंक यू.
यस सर.
या
हेलो गोपलक्ष्मी तुम कैमेरा ऑन अच्छी की?
कि कौन बुझिलो आज
कौन
उपेंद्र
कहलो?
भाई कौन बुझलो
कि कौन बुझिलो कहूची
किछ नहीं यू नो ओके ए सब वर्ड ओरा को बुझी देलु आ
मन से तो बुझिलो तो मत यूनो माने कौन का
व्हाट मु बुझिले
व्हाट आई कैन से रहबा जा बुझिबा
मोर ओके वर्ड ता पूरा घोषा हे गेला आ यू नो वर्ड ता पूरा घोषा हे गेला.
मोर बा व्हाट आई कैन से
भलो
अब ठीक अछि.
हाउ ठीक अछि चलो आओ हला.